Hey y'all, it is Hope here at Crafty Hope and welcome. I had decided I needed to jump in my art journal page real quick and had just put something in the oven. So I had basically a timer going of like 40 minutes and I have sped this up and clipped some things out. So I got it down to this pretty short video. But I want to show that, you don't have to have a ton of time, of course, to get in your art journal page. So I simply flipped to the next page in my journal. And it had, you can see that beautiful rusty ruffle I had created. I'll link to that previous page up in the upper right and down below, or you can find it on my channel. It was a fun little page that I did for my Finding the Words series I've been doing. But when I sewed in that ruffle, I had used just some embroidery floss and it was kind of showing on that side, and I wanted to kind of cover that up. So, I wanted to cover it up. So I'm going in with some collage, which of course is how I tend to start most of my art journal pages. And like the previous page, this backside was also kind of slick, so I didn't mind kind of covering up some of that slickness. So I'm not going to cover up the entire page because you can see there's like a neat little drawing in there, so I'm going to leave some of that exposed. I did put down some of the it's a Tim Holtz like tissue paper of some kind that is kind of peeping through there, and you can see it's got the browns in there, which definitely lends to that rust in there. And I am pulling from my scrap bin, but I'm keeping these papers for the most part kind of neutral. So I've got like a ledger paper and some eco prints and some other paper I altered, I think, with some coffee. And yeah, and I'm using a fluid matte medium to put all this down, and that also helps to take away some of the slickness of that existing book page that's in there. So I've got this other page that's not going to go in. I think I pulled that out a couple times in this video, but I did have a little piece of stitched paper. You see, I put up at the top. It's just a strip that I tore off of something else or cut off of something else, and it's going to work its way in here. So it's just got a zigzag stitch that from a sewing machine that, is going to add a little texture. So once I got everything kind of glued in, I wanted to bring in, I don't know, a little more of that rusty color. And I remembered I have these strips. This is just some transparent tape, just like Scotch tape, that shiny Scotch tape. And I put some alcohol ink in it. You can buy products, I believe. Wow Studio carries some kind of like washi that has this color. But like I said, I just used some alcohol inks and transparent tape. Now I did go over these with more of my fluid medium, partly to make sure that they're stuck down, but also to kind of seal them and make sure they're not quite as shiny. So that's all that was, because that is a matte medium. And I dried it, and I came back in with one of my hand-carved stamps. This is just carved on a dollar store eraser, and I've got a Distress Oxide in Fired Brick. Now, I've never used this color before other than to swatch it on the side of my pad, and y'all, I really loved this color. Once I get my stamps down, I am going to pull in just a little wet paintbrush to kind of blend out the color. This is one of those things I love doing with anything that is water reactive, and these oxides are definitely one of my favorites. So I am going to start just kind of bleeding out some of the outside and some of the inside, I think, maybe. Yep, a little bit of the inside of these. And it gives also a really rusty color. Now, I definitely could have pulled out. I've got some of the Rusty Hinge Distress Oxide, and I could have pulled that out as well. But I don't know. My hands flew to this one. It looks like I got some of it on my thumb too there. So anyway, I'm going to pull some of that in, some of it out. I love this effect of bleeding this out because it gives it like an immediate additional grungy feel to it. And so I'm going to go through each and every one of these stamps I made. And I was really random in the way I put them down, kind of bunching them across the page. And I don't know if you noticed when I put them down, I kind of, for some reason, I always avoid like the middle of the page. And I did that with this, but I came back in and was like, nope, get that middle portion. So it kind of just like the stamping that I put down just works its way across the page. And I was doing very little thinking about how I was doing this. Like I said, I was on a timer waiting for dinner to be done in the oven. So yeah, I was just working fast and intuitively with this. So I'm going to dry all of that water and come back in with, yeah, oh gosh, oh, I loved that so much. I was like, okay, I could just be done here. So but I pull in, yeah, I'm starting to play with some of those things I had pulled out on my desk. I've got that strip of stitch paper that I cut down, and it did have to be cut because of the thread in there, that I knew I was going to work somehow into the page, and I wanted some darkness on here, so I grabbed some India ink, and I think I'm going to just use that. No, it's another thin paintbrush. It might be the same one. Yeah, I guess it is. And do just a touch of mark making. I love using the India ink because it does dry fairly matte and it isn't too shiny, because I'm not typically a girl who likes some shininess in my art journal. So, and these are just little touches of, I don't know, darkness to just bring some texture into this, additional texture. And I'm also trying to make sure I work over some of the other elements that are in there, the bits of tape, the different textures of the papers, even the stamping that I did, so that all of this feels just a little more cohesive. I'm sorry I turned that page and got it out of frame. I was just trying to work so that I didn't get the ink on my own finger. I did splatter a little bit of the ink that was on my brush as I was cleaning my brush, and it's not a ton of splatter, just enough to give a little touches throughout the page. And then of course I'm going to try this, and you can see I brought in that strip, and I played around with several of these like sitting Tim Holtz paper dolls, and finally settled on this guy because this page felt a little more masculine than some of the other paper dolls I was pulling out. So from there I used my Beacon 3-in-1 glue to stick this down because of the texture that's on that from the sewing, from the thread. I was like, yeah, I need something a little strong. And since I had that out and these paper dolls are super thick, I'm going to also use that Beacon for my paper doll. But I had to like figure out where I wanted his booty to go, because I was like, does it need to be at the top of the strip or the bottom of the strip or the middle of the strip? And y'all, I know it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to get him on there, hold him down for just a second, and decide that he needs a little bit of, first I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and decide on a sentiment. So I pulled out this is a whole Tim Holtz kind of page, I think, because I've got the Distress Oxides and the paper dolls and the tissue paper, and then this is the Small Talk stickers. And I ended up deciding on the sentiment that says, today is full of possibilities. It's just what felt right. I'm going to stick it in there. I'll eventually add some more. I think I'm going to try the Oohoo, but I'll end up using some of that Beacon 3-in-1 glue. While I'm letting that sit for a minute, I will grab my Stabilo All pencil and just go around my dude there to give him a little bit of shadow and depth. And it's not much. I really probably should have done a little bit more, but I was pressed for time. I wasn't going to think too hard about this. I will activate it. Like I said, anything that's water reactive, I tend to go for. So the Stabilo All, of course, is water reactive. So I'm gonna hit all of those lines I made. I think I didn't like that first. Am I using the same? I don't know what's going on there. I don't know, y'all. So I'm gonna do that. Glue up that sentiment again with the Beacon, and I'm gonna be done. I love this, and it's making me want to go get in my art journal right this second. So I hope it's doing the same thing for you, inspiring you to go and just create some art and play with what little time you've got in your day. If you have any questions about this or my process or anything else, don't hesitate to let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Let me know what you think, and I will talk to y'all later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.